I want to welcome everyone back to Real Natives here. Again, those that are new to the channel, what we are doing is we are archiving our story. We are telling our story in our own words. And I've been trying to get Joe Salinas here to do this interview for a long time. He was one of the first person that came to my mind when I was starting to archive our stories. Joe himself, before him, it was Dave Smith from the 60s, 70s, 80s, till he made that spiritual journey, was a leader, a culture barrier, a person that taught the kids and taught people. And then the living legend himself, Clarence, up there on the coast, 80s, 90s, and he's still teaching to the present day. But more recent time in the early 2000s, I would have to say Joe's name has to be in there, and it has to be mentioned along with those rest of those legends as far as carrying on our traditional ways. Because after all, what good is knowledge and wisdom if it isn't shared with our people? It is absolutely has no value. We need to share with our people and help our people. So it's very important that I get Joe on this show to share a little bit about himself. So I apologize, brother, for rambling on, but go ahead and introduce yourself, your name, your tribal affiliation, and like the question they say in the Indian world, who are your people?
Oh, thank you, Sal, and I appreciate everything you're doing, all the work you're putting in for our community, and also recognizing the people that's out there outside of myself, Uncle Dave, Cousin Clem, the work that they're doing, and also the work that you're doing is great, brother. And to introduce myself, To Shishi Ma Emto Joe Kilakale Salinas. So I've been going to language class at my Kashia tribal office. That's where I'm from. That's my my people, and where I'm enrolled is Kashia, Stewart Point. And I've been going to language class. And what I just told you there was my name is Joe White Eagle Salinas. So that's something I'm trying to do there, along with learning their songs and learning the traditions and our culture. I also want to do what I can to learn our language and being able to converse with our elders, but also being able to pray and offering our prayers to Creator and to our ancestors up above. And our own language is near and dear and important to me, and that's something that I feel like once I can learn it, then I can teach it to others that are looking to learn as well, especially those from our tribe. And I forgot you were asking about my name, my tribal affiliation, and then my people that I'm coming from is my great-great-grandmother. Her name is Stella Panola, and my great-great-great-grandfather is Dave Antone. And then from there, my grandmother is Effie Antone, and my mother's Rose Salinas, who's my father, and he's Mexican, but he also is a Apache line coming from. He's a I'm a he's a second generation American on his mother's side. So they did a little geology, and they had some Apache on my dad's side. So some good indigenous blood here, and helping me carry on what I feel needs to be carried on and doing what I could do, cuz.
Oh, thank you, Joe, for sharing that information. So another question I had was the urban Indians, they call it, the reservation Indians, they call it. What was it like growing up on or off the res? Speak a little bit about your childhood upbringing, being what would they say, an urban Indian, and yeah. So,
Well, brother, I was born and raised here in Santa Rosa, and after I was born, I went to South Park, and that's where my grandmother, Effie Antone Ramirez, lived in there, and also my Aunt Bertha lived there as well with Clem and Dave. They was there as I was a young kid. I remember seeing them there, and they were living there, and my Uncle Moose Smith was there, and Uncle Mel was out there. There was all of our family was there, and cousin Stella used to live right across the way from my grandma Effie, and the McLeods lived down there in the corner, and it was a good time there in South Park. But even though there's a lot of natives in South Park, anytime we'd go to the res, because I wasn't raised on the res, we'd go there for ceremony, strawberry or 4th of July, or other things my grandma would take me up there for as a young guy. We would always go up there and just to visit and whatnot, even sometimes. And when you go up there, they would look at you like, "Oh, you're from the city. You're not from the res. Your dad's part Mexican. You're Mexican. You ain't Indian." And so it's like you always feel like you got to do a little bit more to kind of prove yourself that you are native by, this is my grandma, this is what I know, and this is what I learned in South Park. I dance over there at my Aunt Bertha's house. I've been learning with Dave and Clem, and still never really felt like as welcome as I guess maybe I felt like I wanted to be. And then on the other side, being raised right there in South Park, and then hanging out with a lot of Latino kids that lived there in that area, or even there were some white kids that were sprinkled in there, and hanging out with the kids in the neighborhood, telling them that wanted to hang out with them, and they would look at me like, "Oh, you're not Mexican, you're Indian. You're one of those Indians," and look at me funny because maybe I don't speak Spanish, or I'm basically not one of them. And I didn't know I wasn't trying to be one of them. I wanted to be who I am, and that's it's Pomo. I don't know Spanish to this day, but I do know a little bit of our language, and I do know some dancing, and a lot of the spirituality that my grandma was, and culture that my grandma shared with me. So very thankful to have that now, and uh, work with the kids that I work with now, and that's part of where I feel helps me to be successful. And working with the kids that I work with now, a lot of them are from here, from Santa Rosa. They're urban Indians as well, like I was considered, and they know I've been where they've been, and I've have been where they're at, and when I talk to them, they understand that I'm not just somebody from the outside telling them, "Oh, be this way and this way," for whatever reason, but I'm actually telling them from my own experience, and why, and then having a better connection with those kids. Oh,
Right on. Thank you for sharing that information with the viewing audience. So, I have a few more questions for you. So, let's take it back to the beginning. You had mentioned as far as being a dance group leader. About what year did you start your dance group? I know the audience may not know, but I remember stumbling across many years ago. Um, Actually, my younger son learned from you. And let's just be real. A lot of people had went through uh, your dance group through the organization that you're ahead of, all over Mendocino County, Lake County, Sonoma County, even Napa County. You know what I mean? At what year did you start your group, and what inspired you to keep a group going? And share the how complex it is to hold a group down. So,
so yeah, brother, we started back the group in 2006 at Sonoma County Indian Health Project with the blessing of the Sonoma County Indian Health Board, and CEO Mullen Malachi at the time. And thanks to them and their guidance, I was able to guide the group and get the group going. And it was first and foremost Dave Smith who put the idea in my head, because I wanted to provide what he provided to me when I was young, and that's when I was dancing over there on Cleveland Avenue at the Native Health Center when I was a child, with Max Cordova, the Lopez family, and the Smith girls. The Bun Lucas was our rock. I was one of the singers. Dave was the rock man, and we had a good old time back in those days. My grandma used to take me there, and we used to practice all the time and dance at different locations. And once I became a youth coordinator there at Indian Health, and then started working with kids in the cultural classes, because that's really what the group started out with, was with cultural classes. Is that later on to say, let's develop a group so we can help these kids dance. And that's where we started, and that's where we've been since the group's been going on. It's been 18 years now, and like you mentioned earlier, so many kids have come in and out of the dance program, and learning the culture, learning the dance, for doing what our goal is to teach our kids the culture and help them with their self-identity, and be prideful of themselves and our culture, and hoping to lead them in a good way, and give them something to be lead a positive life for. If you're not going to be lead positive for yourself, then maybe lead positive for your ancestors or for the culture, and set some goals, and motivate yourself to make sure you're doing better for yourself and your family. And that's really where the goal is. But ultimately, along the way, uh, it's not the easiest. Sometimes parents aren't happy, and you gotta do what you can to try to make people happy, that whatever which way we can. Communication is the key. So once we get able to communicate, that's really where it's at. And but even outside of that, sometimes the native community itself is could be a little rough and judgmental, and it's understandable, because this is our culture, and we need to protect it. And so I do everything I can to follow all the rules and learn everything that I can. So when I'm teaching this, that I'm teaching it the right way. Oh,
Right on, Joe. I do appreciate your honesty, and let's just be honest here. A lot of people went through Sonoma County. Again, my two sons, my two daughters, Francis, numerous of cousins. We even branched off and had our own little thing going over here now, Napa. And there are other subgroups that came out of over there in Sonoma County. I did meet some solid brothers over there. I got to admit, Tony Steele was one person I met over there. Gifford James, Rose, Spooky, Rudy. I could go on and on about all the solid people I met over there through you because of the dance group that you have, and I do appreciate that. A lot of strong people have came out of that, and one thing that's not noted too that under the word Pomo, obviously POMO, there are different bands. Then under the word bands, there are clans, and not everyone does everything the same. Like myself, I come from 5 different, I guess you would say, clans, but how I continue how I was taught from my grandfather, Lucky Panola. I learned his way and carry on his traditions. It's going to be different than how some Eastern Pomo is singing, or even how some Northern Pomo or Southern Pomo. They're going to be different because they're different clans. Not everyone's going to be doing it the same. Not everyone's going to sing the same song the same. Everyone has their own interpretation, and there's really no right or wrong way because you could go to 10 different clans and all 10 of the singers are going to sing the song different. That's just how it is. And it's too bad that some people don't understand that not everyone does it the same, like how we do in Point Arena. I'm from Point Arena. Not everyone's doing it Point Arena way. Not everyone's doing it Kashia way, or our much respect and love to up there in Round Valley, or the Eastern Pomo. Everyone, we have our own way, and that's our purpose of keeping our traditions alive. And I always emphasize and say, I'm not doing it your way. I'm doing it how I was taught so I could carry on my ancestors' traditions. I want you to continue to carry your ancestors' traditions on, but I'm going to make sure that I secure my ancestors' traditions and the way of life. And that's what it's all about, archiving and teaching. Again, it goes back to what good is knowledge and wisdom if it's not shared amongst the people. Um, I heard if there's a rumor going on that you was talking about starting a YouTube channel yourself, if you want to talk a little bit about that. So, oh,
yeah, no, I see your channel here, and I've been looking for an avenue to release some videos that I have and that I feel need to be there for our youth and our people and the culture. And those videos are ones that myself and Dave worked together on to develop. It's called the Pomo Cultural Curriculum, and it's actually some videos that did back in 2007. So that's how long we've been looking for. I've been looking for a way to release these, just because I know that I'm trying to do it in the most respectful way. I don't want anybody to be like, oh, non-natives ain't supposed to have this, and you did this and this. So I seen the way that your YouTube setup, that you have to subscribe in order to watch, and that's something I feel would be beneficial to what I'm trying to do and offer to the Native community, because these videos, part of the reason why me and Dave did it is that we don't want this culture to get lost or gone like the dinosaurs in that museum over there. We natives, we still here. There's no reason for that. So we wanted to do what we can to develop videos to teach how to make a clapper stick, how to make a top knot, how to make a back headpiece, how to make a flicker, how to make horns, how to make feather cape, how to dance men's dance, how to dance women's dance, and we even made a songbook and how to sing. And yes, this is the right platform, I believe, is going to be able to help us to provide those lessons for the people that are looking to learn. And then also, there are also some dance videos and some other old videos that I got that I wanted to share with people. And I think this is a great avenue. And I wouldn't have been known about it if it wasn't for you. And so thank you for that. And I really feel like this is going to be something that's going to be really, really good for our future and for the people. But at the same time, I know there's people out there that probably won't agree with any of it at all. But at the same time, I know in my heart and in my spirit that Dave would want this to be out. That's the reason why we made it. So for Dave, for the reason why we did it. I need to do everything I can to find a way to put this out in a respectful way so that people can view these videos and learn and help to keep our culture going and to help keep our kids living a positive lifestyle and giving back to our people and to our ancestors. Oh, oh,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the valuable archive. I remember when you guys were creating that, such valuable information for the community. And I used to always do a check-in with him and ask him if it was okay. We was going to go on to a Napa, or we did go on to Napa Channel 27 down there. And at the time, I really wasn't singing. I was just, re-entering. And I said, "Hey, can we use your song?" He said, "Yeah, go ahead. That's what it's for." You know what I mean? So I was checking in before the word checking in was there. And this was a long time ago. And he made it very clear that was there for the people, for our people to learn. And
yeah,
that's why it was created. And it's legends like him, like Dave Smith, that's securing our future. And that's what it's all about us evolving, us existing, and us securing our traditional way for the next 50, 100 years, however long we can, to make sure that it's there. And you, brother, you have the holy grail of an archived, footage of Dave creating that. And yes, you could put that out there on private platforms just for, native, for our people. So you're in a catch-22. Some people say, "Why is he holding that? How come he's not sharing that with us? They made that for us and he's not doing it." Then if you throw it out there, they're going to say he shouldn't be putting it out there. So all I can say, brother, do what's right and do what you feel Dave would want you to do. So the next question I have for you is, speaking of legends, is there a legend or a hero, someone that you want to acknowledge of who molded you for who you are, and you want to pay thank you to? Oh,
you said his name a minute ago, brother, and to God to be Mr. Dave Smith. Um, Thank you to him. My grandmother, that was his aunt, her nephew, and she came to her nephew and said, "Hey, I want you to teach my grandson, how to dance." And I was 6 years old back then, and he took me right in and started showing me how to dance at 6. And since then, anytime he's been one of those. He was one of those people that anytime I needed to talk to somebody, ask questions, uh, want to learn something, he would answer his phone. He'd be there for me. If he didn't answer, he'd call me right back, and we would talk. Nowadays, it's you don't get that same love from a lot of people, and hurts my heart that he's gone. It hurts my heart that I no longer have the chance to talk to Dave and tell him about the things that maybe he could help me with, or even some of the more things I'm looking to learn, or share with him some of the language that I'm learning. I know he'd be happy to talk language with me, and um, just really hurts my heart. But at the same time, I honor him by living in a good way, by doing what I can to do everything that he taught me with all my heart. Rock as hard as I can, drum as best as I can, teach these kids as best as I can, lead the group as best as I can, do everything I can in honor of my grandmother, in honor of Dave, in honor of all of our family and our ancestors. When I say ours, because I know how we're related and how our grandmothers are sisters. And to me, that's who I think of. That's who I carry in my heart, and I get a little emotional because one of the things I always tell people, when you really care people, they lead onto the spirit world. Never let them leave you. Always keep them with you, but keep them in your heart. If you have them in your head, then it tends to mess with you a little bit and get emotional. It's like when I speak on my grandmother or Dave, people I really love. I think I put them in my head and start talking on them, and then next thing you know, I start to get a little emotional because that's how much I love and respect these people. They gave to me when nobody else did. It wasn't my mom or my dad. They didn't have to give to me. My grandmother didn't have to give to me, but she did. She raised me. So many times I was lucky enough to get the first tortilla and listen to her and my birth to speak Pomo language. That's part of the reasons why I want to learn the language as well right now. I know that it needs to be learned so we can keep carrying it on. And that's what I want to do. I want to teach my kids once I learn it and do these things. But ultimately, Dave was there for me so much. And like I said, dancing, questions, singing, uh, praying for me. I needed prayer. I needed blessings. I needed healing. Dave, could you please help me? I remember I was going through custody battle for my kids with my ex-wife, and I was going to court, and I asked him for prayer, and he helped me out. And later on, I ended up getting full custody of my kids and was able to raise my kids on my own. And they're grown now, and they're all doing good. And very thankful for everybody that's ever been there to help and guide me and lead me and offer what they could to me. So, and he's one of them. So definitely, will always do what I can to live in his honor and do what I can to rock as hard as I could, brother, and teach as best as I can in honor of my Uncle Dave Smith. Oh, oh.
Oh, right on. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, Dave definitely is a legend. He's one of the most famous natives out there in our era, in our time, and thanks to Dave, he had created a songbook that we all study. You know what I mean? A lot of people have studied that, the book that you have, you know what I mean? And we referred to that. And I myself too studied that. And he was one of the persons that I myself from afar studying a little bit as far as being a kabe and singing. His set is what I studied. I hear everyone else's, but for some reason, that was just more caught my ear, caught my eye, and it was something that I still practice to today. And I wouldn't say practice, but I live by that. Singing and stuff like that from his chapter of his book, I guess you would say. So I got two more questions for you. So one of the questions I have is, when it's all said and done, when they say Joe Salinas, at the end of the day, when we all make that spiritual journey, what do you want to be remembered for? Oh,
I really hope to be remembered for what I gave to our community, for the legacy that I try to leave for my life is given to our people, given to our community here in Santa Rosa. That's why I coach football outside of the dance. Even, it's like that's another way for me to give to the community. Uh, Another way that I give to our community here outside of dancing is I'm trying to do some murals, and I'm also trying to work on getting some parks named after Native people. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that after this question here. But ultimately, I want to be left for known for living for the people, not living for myself, and living in honor of my grandmother, Effie Antone, and then living in honor of Kashia, my reservation, and that I did everything I can to live in the most honorable way I can. That my tribe could be proud of me, that my grandmother could be proud of me, that my kids could be proud of me, and my mother, my father, and all my family. But ultimately, to do what I can to lead that way for an example and hopefully as a mentor and a role model for our community. And that's why I live the way I live, and that's why I do what I do and do what I can to leave this place better than it was before, the day before. And that's what I try to do with myself personally. Try to be a better man than I was yesterday, trying to help this world to be better than it was yesterday as well. Oh,
right on. Thank you. The last question I have for you is, any words of wisdom, encouragement to the next generation of our future, the native youths, the native dancers, any words of encouragement to them, any words of wisdom to the next generation? Oh,
the first words I would always tell people was first for youngsters, even more so, is make sure you stay in school, get that degree. Because if you don't get that degree and you don't stay in school, then you're not going to get your worth. I'm going to be working check to check like myself. And right now, I'm barely getting by. It's not till now that I really understand that if I would have got that degree, I could be living life a whole lot more comfortable than I am right now. And people kind of tell you that, but they don't really let you know. And even these days, the tribes, the people, they usually have some kind of funding for kids to stay in school. So I know school's not fun, and for me, anyways, some people I guess school's fun, but it wasn't fun for me, and I know it's not fun for a lot of our community. But sometimes, good things in life that you get aren't going to be fun. You're gonna takes hard work and have to put in that work in order to be able to have what we want, and that would be my first thing to the youth. But the second thing is reflect before you react. I do that still now as a 50-year-old man. Still got to remind myself, Joe, reflect. don't react so quick. And that's just like one of the biggest things you can do is reflect on what you're going to wear for the day. I tell these youngsters, the boys, reflect how you dress, present yourself in the best way you can. Because if you come out there looking like a gangster and you wonder why you're getting profiled, or people looking at you like you're gangbangers because of your style of clothing or the way you dress. So do what we can to try to dress professional if we could, but at the same time, we have our role models. So, and a lot of our people don't dress professional, but that's what we have to do, start setting that bar for our younger ones. But Dave Smith was a really nice guy. Oh, man, I remember Dave would show up in his three-piece suit. That was one of the guys at the gatherings. He was one to reflect and represent the group, and always in the best way. So I always try to dress nice when I come out as well, representing and reflecting, but also be thankful for what you have rather than what you don't. That's another big one for myself. And oftentimes in life, you'll think, man, I wish I had this, or man, I don't got that, or you see these other people with other stuff. But man, if you look at other people that don't got what you got, you're like, man, I should be happy I got these things, because I was over here thinking I'm sad I don't got this and this, but now I think about it, I'm really happy I got this, and this, because things could be worse. So that's what I always try to remind others, that you think things are bad, it could be worse. And you think things are great, they could be better. So always try to do what you can to lead life in that way. And then that would, I guess, be the main goals that I see. Oh,
Right on. And my gratitude list is pretty simple too, cousin. That's just I'm just glad to be alive, free, and sober. Everything else I could deal with as long as I'm three of those things. You know what I mean? Life can be challenging though. Is there anything that you would like to plug or anything else you'd like to mention? How can people get a hold of you? How, if they're interested in learning the dancing, the singing, they want to check out some of the archive footage you have, or how can people get a hold of you?
right now, if you, I always accept all the people that want a friend request me on Facebook, Joe Salinas, because that's a lot of times where we post of where our dances are going to be, and the different things that we're doing in the community, or different things I'm doing myself in the community. Like I mentioned a moment ago, I'm doing what I can to develop some murals and do some mural work here in Santa Rosa. I did we already did work on a mural at LC Allen High School. That was an image of mine that I did at LC last year. And then I also have a mural in the Santa Rosa Creek that we did back in 2009. And so those are the two murals that I got in Santa Rosa so far, as one at LC and one in the Santa Rosa Creek. But ultimately, I'm not done. I got more images. And I feel like with these images, presenting them and putting them on here in the community, that it's going to help educate our non-native community on who the true caretakers of Sonoma County, Santa Rosa really are, and who the indigenous people of this area really are, along with when we do our dances here in the community. Those are also things that I feel help that goal. And once we do that, and when we're trying to uh, look for help from our non-native community, or if we're looking to do things here within our community, then hopefully they'll be able to sympathize with us, knowing that we are the true caretakers of Santa Rosa, Sonoma County, knowing that we are the indigenous people of this area, that after, with the help of these murals, with the help of the dances that we do in public, that they will be able to understand that we are still here, and that when we're looking to do things in our community, or looking to develop housing, or even maybe another casino, that they're going to stand by and support it rather than nay it, knowing that we're trying to do what we can to help ourselves, since the government isn't. And but ultimately, without us doing what we can to educate these people on these things, they could play dumb. Oh, I didn't know. Well, no. How didn't you know? We're out here. We're doing this. I got a mural over on the wall over there that says we are. But ultimately, that's part of the goal is of the murals, and doing that artwork. And then along with that, so a lot of those murals that I'm going to do, I don't want to just do the artwork myself. And yes, we have some mural artists that we want to hire, but we also want to have the community come and help put those murals up. Not just native people, but also even non-native people come help with the painting of those murals. So that way, when it's all said and done, the community as a whole can take pride in knowing that they helped develop that artwork that's on the wall there. and have some kind of self-worth or self-identity, knowing that they were able to do some positive things for our community. And I feel like our work is something that's going to stick around for a long time. And it's always nice and prideful to say you're a part of that. And hopefully the mural will stay there for many, many years to come after it's said and did. And then along with the mural work, I'm also looking to do what I can to have some of the parks here in Santa Rosa and Sonoma County named after Indigenous people. Some of our basket weavers, our tribal leaders, singers, and dancers and whatnot. I feel like there's no reason why we can possibly name some of our parks after our Indigenous people, since so many of them are named after non-native people that aren't even indigenous to the area, but because they gave money to the community, now they deserve to have their name on a park. So I don't think that's good enough. Money's not a good enough reason to have that acknowledgement, but apparently to some others it is. But that is pretty much some of the work that I'm doing outside of the dancing and outside of what we're doing there. And the teamwork makes the dream work. So if there's people out there that want to help out or do what they can to feed in some ideas, or maybe volunteer to let me know how they could do to conquer some of these goals, my ears are open and my hands are open. I could use the help and can use the support. So we'll be here. And we do practice dancing at Sonoma County and Health Project. Right now it's on Tuesdays nights from 6:30 to 7:30, and it's always open to all Native families, Native youth. And that's pretty much what we have right now. And if you keep your eye out, we are dancing in here, there, and where we can to honor our people and honor our community. Oh,
Right on. Thank you, Joe. Say thank you for all the work that you're doing in the Native community and the community as a whole. It's very important to have a strong community balance with the natives and non-natives. That separation, those times, we want to put that all behind us. We're far past being the angry native. We want to work together in order to move forward. You got to have a good dialogue, dialect, move forward, be constructive, all come together on the same page. So with that being said, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I do appreciate your likes and your subscriptions, you subscribing. If you haven't, please tell those that you love them, because life goes by way too fast. Oh.
oh.